Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more to reach the professionals who are more likely to find your ad relevant. Plus, with 1 billion members on LinkedIn, that means you'll have access to 130 million decision makers and 10 million C-level executives. That's a lot of millions of the right people. Get started today and see how you can reach the right buyers with LinkedIn's enhanced targeting tools. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV, it's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Coming up on this episode of the Entrepreneurial You.
In life, there's really not going to be that perfect day. There's not going to be that perfect moment all the time, right? Like, we have to work at it and also give ourselves grace when we feel like we're falling short. It was always a dream of mine to be able to create a business where I could create a demand that was purely just from my passion and my talents.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another empowering episode of the Entrepreneurial You, the podcast that fuels your passion for business, leadership, and of course, personal growth. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, and today we have an absolutely inspiring guest that is going to be joining us. She is a powerhouse in leadership, entrepreneurship, and women's empowerment, none other than Jennifer Lloyd. So Jennifer is a passionate advocate for women, blending the worlds of leadership, motherhood, and entrepreneurship with grace. Yes, I like that, and I'll tell you why later. She holds prestigious titles including Mrs. Washington America 2005, two-time Mrs. Korea World 2021 and 2023, and Mrs. Queen of the World 2024. Beyond the crowns and sashes, she is a devoted philanthropist, co-owner of Lloyd Enterprises, Inc., and founder of Jennifer Lloyd Artistry, specializing in high-end beauty and pageant photography. Her journey is definitely a testament to faith, resilience, and the beauty of strength. So my peak performers, get ready for an episode that is filled with wisdom, passion, and insights on how to lead with purpose and embrace the many roles life calls us to play. Welcome, Jennifer. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? I'm coming to you today from Cabo San Lucas. It means so very much to be here today with your community and just to be able to share a little bit about my journey.
Awesome. Hola, buenos días, ¿cómo estás? I am good, muy bien. And guys, if you didn't get that clearly, that is in Mexico. All right, so today, my peak performers, we're going to be talking with Jennifer about leading with grace. That intersection of leadership, motherhood, and entrepreneurship. My gosh, that is a mouthful. So we know that balancing leadership, business, and family is absolutely no easy feat. Listen, this is not for the faint of heart, okay? Yet women across the globe are proving that they can wear multiple hats and thrive in every single role that you put us to play. So Jennifer E. Lloyd, as you've heard from the introduction, she is the embodiment of this philosophy. She has seamlessly integrated her love for leadership, entrepreneurship, and motherhood, showing that strength and grace can go hand in hand. So today we're going to be diving into what it means to be an empowered woman, navigating success, service, and self-care. I love the alliteration. Yes, but Jennifer, before I go on, it is customary for me to do an icebreaker question. So here's your icebreaker. Not that we need it because we've already broken the ice. We've chipped it all away. You've worn many crowns, literally and figuratively speaking. If you could create a pageant category that doesn't exist yet, what would it be and why?
Well, I often hear ladies complain that, the judges didn't get enough time with the ladies. And one thing I realize is that we all come in with a good heart and a purpose. So I would create a category that's all about your heart. Although it's hard to see the intention during a quick 3-minute or 7-minute interview, I think there's so many wonderful women out there with intention, with a good purpose. And I believe that would be something I would like to have change, or something that I would love for people to know more about.
All right, all right. Thank you
Mhm.
so much. So I've shared a little bit with my community, talking
Mhm.
about, you being a mother, you've been an entrepreneur, you've been wearing all these crowns. Oh my gosh, I'm excited to hear how the heck did you get involved in entrepreneurship? Like, what does a beauty queen have to do with entrepreneurship?
Well, first of all, let me share a little bit about my background. I'm a wife, a mother, an entrepreneur, but I'm also a woman who's constantly been transitioning and also fighting with just giving myself a lot of grace, because I have 6 children. Okay. So, with 6 children comes a lot of sacrifice, commitment, self discipline, as well as putting your passions and sometimes your needs on the back burner. And that happens so much for a lot of women. And I come to you today as a seasoned wife and as a mom, because I have gone through so many different obstacles and challenges throughout my marriage, my journey of raising children, and then also seeking my true purpose in life. I've always been a creative. I've always been interested in hair and makeup. I love being on stage. I love being in front of people in crowded rooms. And for me, picking up a camera and starting a business was something that was so foreign, because, first of all, when you are starting your business, it takes so much time investment, correct? So that's a sacrifice that you have to make in your family culture. And sometimes people, whether it's your husband, your family members, your friends, they might not understand that commitment and that change in that culture. But you have to realize that you are your biggest advocate. So no one's going to champion you more than you. No one's going to believe in your dreams more than you. So you have to actually fight and make those decisions every single day. And when I decided to start my business in photography, I thought of a couple of very important factors. One, I needed to be able to balance my schedule so that I was able to meet the needs of my family. That means driving my kids to school, making dinner, because I love to create a beautiful plate for my husband. I'm still very traditional in that way. But then also, I wanted to have the ability to gain financial independence. And that meant that I could be as creative as I could possibly imagine myself being. I could also set a price point that would target a certain audience, and then create a demand that I could also have a price point that was more exclusive. So I love doing that, because I spent 5 or 6 hours with a client during a day, and then I could also make a paycheck right at the end, knowing that I've given my client the very best that I could possibly give them. But then also at the end of the day, I'm able to make a profit. So that was beneficial to me, and it was something that I had to grow into, feeling like my time was worth that. I had to really put a lot of value on setting boundaries, as well as being selective as well. And it didn't come overnight. It took a lot of trial and error, but it was always a dream of mine to be able to create a business where I could create a demand that was purely just from my passion and my talents. And I'm really, really pleased and blessed that I'm able to work in a community that sees my growth, but also believes in my work.
Yeah. And my peak performance, for those of you who won't be seeing the video, but you're listening to the audio, she says 6 children. She's absolutely gorgeous and she doesn't look like she has a
Oh,
child.
thank you.
Like, so which is going to take me into, I mean, we're going to touch a little more on the heavy stuff, the boundary setting, the grace and stuff. But I want to find out from you, Jennifer, how did you
Mhm.
get involved in pageantry? Take us a little into that.
Yeah, so I like most people, we've watched it on TV. I've watched Miss America, Miss Universe, Miss USA. And it was nothing that was in what was in front of me at all as a child because I grew up on government subsidies. So my parents could never even afford dance classes or afford nice clothes for myself. So I didn't actually get involved until I was an adult. And there are pageant systems for all age groups. And I don't know if your audience has heard, but like Miss Universe, for instance, has changed the age requirement to any age. It used to have an age cap. So I love being a part of the community because there's so many like-minded women who are involved, whether it's philanthropy work or women who love fashion, beauty, also creatives who are on stage. I just love that. So it's available for everybody out there.
Awesome sauce. All right. So earlier you touched a little bit on, doing all of giving yourself grace. You touched on setting
Mhm.
boundaries. You touched on so many gems that I want to further, the conversation on. I also mentioned initially that I like the theme of grace and giving yourself grace because I run a social enterprise that's called Grace to Grow. And it is called that for a reason, right? We all need grace to grow. We all need that grace. But there are times when, or like there is a storm raging in our minds, and we're turning our thoughts on us because we're not projecting it on any project, on anything creative. We've turned it inwards, and there's a war that is raging within us. So, as a woman, as a successful businesswoman, a mother, a wife, an entrepreneur, a leader, how do you give yourself grace on the days when you believe that you've fallen short because you just can't, according to society's standard, measure up, as it were? Or do you even
Mhm.
face that?
I think about a situation I had a few years ago. This is when I first started getting back involved in competing in competitions. I gave up my title as a politician and then I went into the field of pageantry. And I have to tell you, I found myself on my knees at times because I was so disappointed in what I was able to accomplish in a day. And that was just my own set standard, my own expectation. No one told me exactly what I needed to do, but that was something that was personal. And I believe a lot has to do with some childhood trauma that I set these high standards for myself every single day. And then if I don't meet an expectation if that's in my head, I get closed in and it's actually debilitating at times. You lose confidence in yourself and your self-worth. But I remember like I was at the gym and the story may sound simple, but it wasn't simple in my mind. I was at the gym and I just felt like I had so many things I left behind me that I didn't take care of, right? And I was like, supposedly in this moment where I'm supposed to be giving myself self-care and taking the time to focus on these small short-term goals, but I was thinking about everything else that I didn't do, I didn't accomplish. Some of the things that came to my mind, like, okay, the laundry, the kids are waiting. I felt like a failure. And at the end of that session, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I have to share about grace to more women because here I am, I'm supposed to be giving myself an hour, but I can't even give myself an hour. I don't feel worthy enough to give myself an hour to take care of myself, to help my mental growth and my physical fitness. Like it was a struggle. And so I started blogging and talking about that because I knew that I wasn't alone. And it turns out that there's so many women, we all deal with trying to find that perfect balance, but in life, there's really not going to be that perfect day. There's not going to be that perfect moment all the time, right? Like we have to work at it. and also give ourselves grace when we feel like we're falling short. I always remind myself with affirmations because I'm a believer, and I just I just know that what's for me is given to me, right? And if things are not working out, then a way of the universe or God protected me. So I try to remind myself, and it's an everyday battle. I'll tell you, it's an everyday battle to remind myself that I'm worthy, I'm capable, I can pick up where I left off, right? And not to beat yourself up.
Mhm. How do you maintain your peace in terms of, as Jim Rohn says, you're the average of the
Hmm.
five people you spend the most time with. How do you
Hmm.
maintain your peace when sometimes the people that are around you, they are not of a similar mindset, or do you not stay around persons who are not of a similar mindset? How do you navigate that, Jennifer?
I found reprieve knowing that, first of all, I've got a good group of girlfriends who are
Hmm.
also entrepreneurs, and I surround myself with women who are very similar in their purpose as well as their intentions, because they have families, they're women in business, they're women of faith, and when I'm able to have a moment to talk about, what's happening in my life, I feel like I'm able to release a lot. The conversations that I have with my closest girlfriends who are in the same situation seems to be more fulfilling and more healing to me than, let's say, talking to my husband, or sharing with somebody who I'm not very close with, right? It makes a difference when you're able to share your truth. There's so much freedom in that. So I would really encourage women to really seek out a group of women who are like-minded, just to be able to share your honest truth, because that's really going to help you release and realize that, again, you're not alone.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because just yesterday, and I made a post, there's a group I have on WhatsApp for a cruise I'm doing in November
Hmm.
this year. And every Tuesday, I post some thoughtful leadership stuff there going on. And this morning I shared what happened to me yesterday was that somebody reached out to me because I'm a part of a group which I've not engaged in for a couple months now. And she's reached out asking me if I'm okay, and all the best for the
Hmm.
new year and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? It would have been easy for me to give you "I'm fine, thanks" answer, but today I'm not going to give you that. I am not okay. All of these things are going on. And then just being able to talk about it and not feeling any judgment against myself, because there is this toxic positivity that we all at every single time we ought to be okay, but there are days when we're not okay. And to your point, when we have other people that we can share that with, rather than bottling up, because anxiety is a real thing, depression is a real thing. How do you then, protect yourself from that, while also just being able to own up to what you're feeling at that given point? So I'm glad you share that, because
Hmm.
so many of us are, because again we always have to put this positive spin, and it's okay to be positive because I'm very big on positivity. But when it becomes toxic, when you are really dealing with something, and rather than sharing with somebody who could help you, you put this front on to say you're okay when you're really not okay. So thanks for reiterating and bringing that point home. You did say earlier that there is no balance, and I agree with you, Jennifer, that there's absolutely no balance. But what we create is harmony. So how do you harmonize amongst all the various roles, the business, the leadership, the family that that are part of your life?
Yeah, setting boundaries has really been instrumental in the way that I communicate as well. So I had to even say no a lot to my family because I only have so much inside of me, correct? So I can only give so very much. So that's been very instrumental in my life, so setting clear boundaries, and not in a way that it's hurtful, but in a way that it protects my mindset as well as allows me the freedom to stay healthy with my mindset. One of the ways that I am able to release is through fitness, and also setting short-term goals for myself. Sometimes a short-term goal could be going to the grocery store and making like an epic salad, or making like, something that's very healthy, and pre-plan that so that I'm not really thinking about what I'm going to be eating next. I just know it's healthy. That helps me save time, but also clears my mindset, because I know, like, if my body's functioning well, I'm going to be at my optimal best, and I'm going to be able to perform my best. I know that there's a lot of juggling in that harmony as well, knowing that you're going to be okay, you can multitask. And again, that perfectionism needs to walk out that door because that's really not a standard that you have to live by. And that's a lesson that I'm constantly working on, and but I'm seeing some breakthrough. But you have to continually work at that.
Mhm. So for women in leadership,
Mhm.
what are some of the biggest misconceptions that you think that people in general have about leadership roles, women in leadership?
Well, you're definitely not always the smartest person in the room, that's for sure. I think one of my gifts in leadership is my ability to really encourage another woman. I've had so many people tell me that, and I'm a person who's steadfast. I'm not going to be boisterous and in your face, but I'm a person who's very loyal and encouraging. So I could see, for instance, a woman and be able to recognize a gift and talent and be able to pull that out of her. And I know that comes from a source of some challenges I dealt with as a young adult. And so when I see that in another woman, I could see that potential. And I love that because I have such a great team that's behind me, a group of wonderful, loyal, creative, talented, gifted women who have never had an opportunity or a chance, but if I pour into them, I know that they're going to be right there next to me. And that's exactly the type of people I want to surround myself with as a leader. I don't want to go by myself. I want to run with a group of talented, gifted individuals who have the same passion, who have the same intention and mindset, because we're going to go far.
Awesome. And you've kind of gone in
Mhm.
the direction that I wanted you to go by sharing some practical ways that women can uplift and support each other in today's world that can be so unkind.
Really true. I watched my family, as because my family are immigrants,
Mhm.
struggle with access and opportunity, discrimination as well. I remember feeling so less than, like in classrooms, because my mom couldn't speak English, and I'd see parents come to the school or volunteer, and that was something that was never going to happen in my household. I was the one writing doctor's notes and excuses because they couldn't write or read or speak. So that was a challenge I dealt with. And now as an adult, I'm seeing that there's just a lot of women who are looking for access. And so what I did was I actually partnered with a global nonprofit called Dress for Success, and I've been providing nonprofit free headshots for women who are immigrants or women who are transitioning back into the workforce or getting out of the military, and women looking for a community. I've just been trying to provide some free services so that they could have access and they could show up on a digital platform or be able to go to an interview process knowing that they're prepared and that they are showing their best selves. It's tough out there. It's not easy for a lot of women, and especially women of color and women who are not from the US. It's definitely been a challenge for us, and now I know that I can provide access to women.
Mhm. All right, so you've gone again. Always leading. I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be leading, but you're leading me, and that's fine. That is absolutely fine. So you talked a little bit about your business, Jennifer
Mhm.
Lloyd Artistry, and of course, it focuses on high-end beauty and pageant portraits. What
Mhm.
was the inspiration to starting this venture, and what is the impact that you really hope to have?
I've seen so many of my childhood dreams come to fruition. I think if when you're a child and you're dreaming big, first of all, trust those dreams, believe in them. I would never in my wildest dreams ever guess that I would be in this position. But when I was a kid, I used to take Elle magazine, Vogue, Marie Claire. I would tear out my favorite models, favorite advertisements, plastered all over my walls, and I would just dream about being in production, being a part of that. And it was just a dream that I kept chipping at. And I didn't know that I would have the ability, especially in my 40s, to be able to achieve that goal and that dream. And I love it. I think like if it's something that lights you up, if it makes you feel alive, do it. right? Like it's never too late. Believe that you are very capable and you just got to start. It doesn't matter where you start, you just got to start. I remember one of the challenges I had when I was putting my work out there was I was always comparing my work to seasoned photographers who have been out in the industry for 20 plus years. And I would beat myself up and I would stay up late at night just trying to edit and color correct and fix my light. And it was just through trial and error that I was able to reach a threshold that I find is in demand. So it just takes a lot of time. You got to put your reps in, you know? No one's going to do the reps for you. You got to do it yourself. You got to just put yourself out there and do it and accomplish that. And it feels really good to be able to, again, see a dream of mine as a child and work at it now, knowing that this has been meant for me all along.
Yeah. You just got to start. Starting takes faith.
Mm-hmm.
And faith has been a big part of your journey, also as it relates to your business and life in general.
Faith, and then also, I just want to say courage, because it's not even about
Faith
the
and courage.
confidence.
That sounds like
It's yeah,
the
it's
motto for
yeah,
my school.
yeah.
Our school.
It's not even about confidence, because you can have all the confidence in the world, but it's just that courage of stepping into rooms and feeling worthy enough to sit at a table or putting your gifts out there, because people are going to criticize, you're going to criticize and you're going to compare, but you just have to continually believe, your work and the time that you're putting into your business, right? Like don't give up on that dream.
Yeah, don't give up on that dream. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to go to the community connection segment and then we're going to come back to our final question. So in this segment, I invite you or Peak Performance community to share your reviews, your questions, your feedback, whatever it is you want to share, to engage with us. And this week, again, I'm sharing another podcast review, and it comes from Jake Stud 24. That's the username, Jake Stud 24, out of the United States of America. Awesome and unique. This podcast rocks with the uniqueness that it brings to the game. It is well worth a listen. Unlike the common business podcast, Heneka talks about things that no other podcasters don't, and it works. Thank you, Jake Stud 24. I appreciate it. And you too, my Peak Performer, you could be hearing your review being shouted out right here on the Entrepreneurial You live. So do send me that feedback. Let me hear how much this podcast has impacted your journey. Certainly do want to hear from you. So we're on the winding down with Jennifer E. Lloyd. Amazing conversation we've been having as we dissect the topic, leading with grace, the intersection of leadership, motherhood, and entrepreneurship. And we're just talking about, the fact that it takes faith, it takes courage. There is no such thing as balance, as I've often said on this show over and again. It is all about harmonizing. And sometimes when you're juggling, some things will fall, you'll catch some, and that's just the way of juggle. But you make sure that you harmonize, you set boundaries, and you give yourself grace. Now, I'm going to ask you, Jennifer, as we wind down, what advice would you give to women who feel held back by fear or self-doubt?
Yeah, I dealt with a lot of self-doubt because, again, the closest person, my husband, who I love, he's my soulmate, my ride or die. He and I have created an incredible business together. And when I pursued my own separate business, it was almost like a culture shock because, again, the investment piece was fairly large. Okay. And then also my time was taken away from some of the other things that, he's enjoyed, right? So the freedom things have changed. And my commitment level to my personal business was something that mattered so much to me that I would stay up late at night because everybody was asleep. So I would stay up late, I would work, I would study, I would create. And then the same next in the morning, I would get up, I'd get back, I'd work at it. And then it was just habitual where I wasn't always going to bed on time. I was working at my business. And I just remember like the challenging conversations that we had because, again, I had to set boundaries to make others realize how important my dreams were, how important it was for me to accomplish something that I set my mind to. And it wasn't about disappointing others. It's like I didn't want to disappoint myself. I didn't want to fall short. And yes, I was tired. Yes, I felt bad for sometimes saying no and those boundaries, but in the long term, it's actually was really healthy because I was able to change just the trajectory of my life and be able to gain financial independence as a woman was something that was genuinely very important. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how important that was and that lesson I learned. And so now I know that speaking about business, I'm not a know-it-all, but I just know that my experience and the things that I have gone through I'm able to help others realize the potential within themselves because you're not alone. You're not alone in that struggle. You're not alone in that fight. That dream is so very important to you that you feel it. You feel it. It's like a whisper that talks to you. Don't ignore that. Don't ignore that feeling and that whisper because that's a gift. That's a gift for you, and you have to pursue it and work through those challenging times, believe in yourself, no matter who doubts you.
Believe in yourself no matter who doubts you, because there'll always be doubters, but that's okay as long as you're
Mhm.
not doubting yourself. How can persons reach out to you, Jennifer?
I'd love for you to check out my website. It's mrsjenniferlloyd.com. You can find all my social handles, all my live interviews, and just to see what's going on and take a peek at my portfolio as well. You can find me on LinkedIn under Jennifer Lloyd, Facebook under Jennifer Lloyd as well.
Awesome, awesome. And the website is so beautiful. All right. So I'm moving into trending now segment or trending now segment. A study by McKinsey and Company found that companies with more women in leadership roles are 25% more likely to outperform their competitors financially. Despite this, women still hold only 10% of CEO positions in Fortune 500 companies. The need for strong, empowered female leaders is greater than ever, making conversations like today's incredibly important. Wow. So, guys, you've heard what an insightful, inspirational conversation I've had with Jennifer E. Lloyd. And it's just for me to say, thank you so much, Jennifer. What a pleasure it has been for me, and I know for my peak performers.
Thank you. It has been so much fun. I love speaking with you and your audience, and thank you for all that you're doing to empower others.
Awesome. Of course, you've heard it. Jennifer's journey is such a beautiful reminder that leadership is really more than just professional success. It's lifting others up. It's harmonizing priorities. I can't say balancing. I don't believe in balancing. And just staying true to your values. We were inspired today, and each time we listen to a podcast, I hope we have intentionally decided to be better. And that's why you've listened, right? To change something that isn't working, to assess where your life is, and to make the change that is necessary. Because at the end of the day, you have to work on you. It doesn't matter what others are saying about you. What is it that you're saying about yourself? What are the voices in your head saying to you? So, if this episode resonated with you, please don't keep it to yourself. Sharing is caring. Share it with a friend, a family, a colleague, and you subscribe. Ask that you subscribe if you haven't yet done so, and leave a rate and review. Until next time, keep leading with passion, purpose, and grace. And I also want to share today's affirmation with you. I am a strong, purpose driven leader, gracefully harmonizing my roles with confidence, passion, and unwavering faith. Do take care, and a very special thanks to our sponsors, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and of course, Heneka Watkis-Porter.com. That's a wrap.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.